Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah, Rastafari, and His Son Jesus Christ, Yahshua Messiah, the only omnipotent creator there ever was and ever will be, the creator of all mankind and the entire earth, man. So, I gotta apologize for my last video about chemtrails because it was very quiet. So if you couldn't hear it, my suggestion is to either A, put headphones on, or B, just plug it into a stereo system and turn it up real loud. I had my TV very loud, so I didn't understand why you couldn't hear it. And I also thought I was recording the TV screen because I had my hands full when that popped up on the news, and I can't rewind it. It's just live TV. So I just stuck my phone on my chair in front of the TV and thought I was pointing it at the screen. So my apologies that you can't really see it. It's from Scripps News, SCRIPPS. I'm sure you can find that document or article or whatever it's called, blog or whatever, on their website, scripsnews.org or .com. I don't know. I'll have to find that out. It's the only mainstream TV news I watch because I can't really tell that they take left or right side. They just report what's happening in the mainstream. But it's good to watch everything the enemy puts out so you can be aware of the kind of psychological operations they're trying to do. Because if you're already awake to the truth, the whole truth, I'm not talking about woke, I'm talking about awake. To the whole truth, the entire left-wing, right-wing dialectic does not faze you, and you can look straight through it at what they're doing. So, this video is going to be like elaborating on my last video because I was in a hurry, and I just recorded it real quick. So, like I said, if you couldn't hear it, turn that shit way up, or put your headphones in and turn it up, and you can hear what the news is saying, or just go look it up. That's why I wish I had the ability to go live with y'all, because I'm seeing stuff like this all the time that I want to report on, but it would be more reasonable to do it live. Like, it would make more sense. And if I had it live, y'all could have told me it's not loud enough, and I would have figured it out, blah, blah, blah. So, let's see how to word this. I hadn't really thought of this. Is on the spot. Most of my videos, I just pop on and do it. I don't write notes most of the time. If occasionally I do write notes, though, and go through each note. I couldn't say which video is better. Sometimes they're better freestyle. Sometimes they're better when I organize it. The more and more I get into it, the more, on point and to the main topic the videos will be, and I will be more organized about how I deal with each video. So I know I'm kind of sloppy, I'm kind of lo-fi. I know I can't sing worth a shit sometimes when I'm singing with the songs. I can't sing high-pitched stuff. That's even if it slightly goes to the high-pitched level, my voice is terrible. I can sing everything else fairly well, and I'm also out of practice of singing. So you have to endure the lo-fi, the crappy singing, because I gotta sing to practice to sing, because I'm really actually a good singer, but I'm out of practice. So, and I write my own songs. I'm about to post those up. If I get a fairly priced, decent guitar, I will start posting up all 30, 40 songs I've written that are like folk crossed with reggae. It's like roots Rastafari reggae crossed with straight up American folk, mixed with a dash of like indie folk from the 90s and early thousands, like Bright Eyes and fucking Modest Mouse and stuff like that kind of stuff. Modest Mouse ain't really folk, but kind of like that kind of flavor, just a touch of that, and then 45% Rastafari reggae, 45% roots folk, with a touch of indie rock folk or indie folk music, right? So by the way, Bright Eyes wrote a song I don't know if any of y'all know who Bright Eyes is. It's definitely not something black folks genuinely or generally listen to. So for my black subscribers, you might not know who the hell that is. This dude's name is Conor Oberst, is the lead singer. I actually didn't like them that much growing up because all my friends were listening to them, and I wasn't as into it as them. But I did like some of the songs, and he did write anti-New World Order material from time to time, and that's what I liked from him. But I hadn't listened to him for a long time, and one of the first girlfriends I ever had that I was deeply, deeply in love with, and she's dead now, but I would probably marry that girl if she was alive, even if she wasn't a believer, because she's such a good person and talented and awesome. I'd make her a Rasta somehow, or one way or another. But the point is she was really into him, and I was thinking about her the other day, and I looked that musician up, and Conor Oberst had written a song called Haile Selassie. And I was like, what is going on here? What's this about? I looked up the lyrics, and it's about basically the Hebrews in the true body of Christ that's not tricked by the New World Order, whooping lizards and whooping on snakes and demon lizards to protect mankind. Haile Selassie was to protect mankind from the demonic lizard folk. Basically, is like the gist of the song. I mean, that's really dumbing it down, but that's pretty wild. So I suggest y'all check out Bright Eyes Haile Selassie song and see what's going on there. Maybe I missed something. Maybe it's mocking Rastafari. I don't know. I don't know why he would suddenly come out and mock it, but I also don't know why he would suddenly come out and just basically preach the narrative of truth that comes from the scriptures, and including Rastafari and Haile Selassie. Okay, so that's pretty wild. And that, there's lots of evidence of things like that all over the world, and that's why it's important for you as a Rasta to recognize, black or white, whether you're black or white, to recognize that we are being infiltrated right now to change the dynamic of what we preach, teach, and offer to the world from a biblical standpoint, to bring it out and make it against the Bible. That is obviously what's happening. You got paid intelligence actors pretending to be Rasta, preaching and teaching falseness. Everyone from, you got Muta Baruka is a big name out there doing it, and he does it real sly, right? He'll say basically black folks shouldn't have nothing to do with Jesus, and he points to the so-called Roman fabrication of Jesus and explains that it's all a white man's trick, or a white man empire trick, or whatever, But he never brings up the fact that the oldest version of the Gospels is Ethiopian, and that the oldest paintings of Jesus Christ, Yahshua Messiah, are Ethiopic. And he never even says the name Yahshua Messiah, as far as I can tell. He makes no discrepancies from the copycat story to the original actual truth. He completely dismantles everything Haile Selassie ever taught us to do, and there might have been things Muta Baruka used to say that were true. He had a radio show in Jamaica, and he's really popular. Claims to be Rasta. But it's interesting that the very person who is doing some of this flip-flopping infiltration stuff, right, is the one who got the radio show in the past to gain all the Rastas' trust, right? And then in this case, we're talking about black Rastas, okay? But the point of what I'm saying here is that you got blacker and black Muta Baruka knowing and preaching a false narrative about the paradigm of, this false overlaid history and false overlaid version of Christianity, and not explaining the real original version and how it was, black in origin, right? He doesn't explain any of that. And just because something's not black in origin, by the way, doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't have to be black in origin to be good. Okay? There's a logical fallacy there. So there's this like standard premise that's put out with all arguments in this Psyop here, where if it didn't come from black, it ain't no good. Okay? And that's just obviously objectively not true. That can go every which way. Some things that came from black were bad. Some things that came from black were good. Some things that came from white were good. Some things that came from white were bad. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? So that argument, you got to watch for that. That is not based on the logos, the actual truth. Okay? So you tell me black people never sinned, basically? Everything they do is perfect? That's nonsense. Okay? It's the same for white people. You know, they didn't create everything out of their hands was good. Okay? So that's obviously bullshit. That's obviously true. So anyways, you got Mutabaruka preaching an inversion, basically lying by omission of facts. That's how Mutabaruka is doing his little witchcraft on Rastas, okay? Getting them to denounce Christ and the Bible altogether by never mentioning the true original Ethiopic Christ. Okay, and if Christ was actually white and not black, it doesn't matter, he's still the truth, okay? But we know he was black, and that the false image of Christ is the Caesarea Borgias. So that's the only black supremacy is in that sense. There is black excellence, and there is an evident inborn talent in black people and Ethiopic people is what we should really be calling them, because they're all from the continent of Ethiopia. Some are native to other nations, though. So there is an out of Africa sense to a lot of things, but it's not all out of Africa. And there were blacks in America a long time ago, okay, before slavery. So they could have been originated from here, or they could have migrated here a long time ago from Africa. It's hard to say. So there's all these things like that, you know. And then what I was getting ready to get to earlier was that you have Bright Eyes, an indie rock, underground, sort of famous musician. You know, like he's underground. He's not a big sellout that signs every contract he gets. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what his position is as far as signing record deals exactly, but he has never been popular in a world famous sense. I'm sure that he has fans worldwide, but you see what I'm saying? It's like the underground, right? It's not on MTV, you know what I mean? So it's called indie rock because it means independent rock and folk music. I mean, it's independently made without all the chains of the music industry. So he writes a song called Haile Selassie, professes faith, essentially. I mean, I don't know what else he's doing other than professing that he's basically a Rasta, and he believes in Christ. And he was raised in a Bible-believing family, and he had resentments towards the traumas that come from mainstream churchianity. So to see a brother like that who writes in his songs his animosity towards Christianity, and then turn around and then basically proclaim the narrative of truth that Haile Selassie is Yahshua Messiah and that he is going to whoop these serpents, okay? All the reptilians. He even calls them reptilians, I think, in the song. So you got that, which is essentially like a type of, or a picture, word picture of, or a real life picture of the Roman centurion who had great faith in the Gospels. And where Yahshua says, you know, in all of Israel I haven't seen such great faith, because the Roman came to him and said, just give me the word that he is healed. You don't even have to go to heal the guy that I need healed. Just give me the word that he's healed, and I'll go back and I know he'll be healed because I know you're the Messiah. And we're talking about a non-Israelite, non-Hebrew said that to Yahshua Messiah's face. And Yahshua Messiah was like, I haven't seen such great faith in all the house of Israel. Okay? All the house of Yasharah. So, coming to the main point here, before I get into the actual subject matter of this video, I don't know, I felt like led to say this. So, is Mutabaruka is blacker and black. Connor Oberst is whiter and white. Yahshua Messiah and the Israelites are blacker and black, and the Roman centurion is whiter than white. What is being illustrated here? That the Gentiles can have as good, if not greater faith than the Hebrew people. I'm white, okay? Just keep that in mind. I'm a Gentile of the house of Welsh people, okay? I'm Welsh, mostly Welsh. I guarantee you, spiritually, manifest to physically, I got a drop of Ethiopian blood in my system too, because I have the inherent affinity to hail the King of Kings of the world in Ethiopia and the true Davidic throne, and I have no qualms about it. I don't care if they're black or white. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, it matters in the sense that the truth matters, but that's it. You know, I'm not second guessing my faith because my Savior is a different color than me. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, Mutabaruka preaching lies and falsehoods and lying by omission, and then Connor Oberst come out with one song and just professes the whole truth, big picture style, in one song, and that we're gonna have victory over these reptilians, so-called reptilians. And that, you know, the word reptilian, I don't use that word. Whether there's actual lizard-like individuals or not is irrelevant. The point is they act like that. They act like sneaky little lizards, right? And the association with the satanic serpent cult is where that really comes from. Is like, that's why they are called reptilians. Really, whether they physically have the shape-shifting ability to turn into human or not is irrelevant, because the point is that they're wicked and they do serve the serpent cult. So Mutabaruka won't even call out the entire serpent cult in Babylon's system because he has special interests. I'm not making any claims, but my suspicion is that Mutabaruka is a paid actor pretending to be Rasta, or he's genuinely convinced in deception, and refuses to look at the whole truth. Because just saying that Jesus was a Roman fabrication and this whole Judeo-Christian religion thing is a Roman fabrication and that it should be dismissed and no black people should do it. You even got Mutabaruka deliberately saying that black people pray too much, as in they pray to the Lord too much, and that they shouldn't be going to church and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, maybe they shouldn't go to the corrupted, inverted, taken over, infiltrated church, but to say that black people should dismiss the Bible as a whole, I mean, that's a really sneaky way of going about telling Rastas and black folks that the Bible is bad. It's a sneaky, sly way. White man made it up. Actually, no, the black man made it up. And he didn't make it up, he made it happen. Okay, it spread to all the nations. So Mutabaruka will omit the real black Ethiopic Jesus Christ, Yahshua Messiah. Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes professes it. He's a Gentile. So this black and white bullshit, like I've said before, this bickering needs to end. And Yahshua Messiah made it clear that it is not appropriate. So did Haile Selassie. Okay? If it's until another, or what's Haile Selassie say? Until the color of a man's skin is no more significant than the color of his eye, then there'll be peace. Until then, there's going to be war, right? You know, like the Bob Marley song adds, there's going to be war. Well, that goes both ways, okay? Until my white skin is no more significant than the color of my eye, right? Because we got it flipping back on white people now. And some people might say, that's the repayment. No, hold up a second here. We're talking about Babylon's system divided blacks and whites, okay? And 70% or more of the slave owners of African American peoples, in America at least, as far as America goes, let me rephrase that. 70% or more of them were the reptilian kin, okay? Right? The Kenites. Those that say they are blank and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan, right? And you got to remember the dragon was loosed. So then there's even a movie that it alludes to this called Solomon Kane, which is like the inversion of the Davidic line hero character, like Christ, right? Solomon Kane, okay? Solomon, the Davidic line, King of Kings line, Cain. So Cain usurping the throne line of David, okay? That's not the plot in the movie, but that's what I get from the title, okay? So the premise of the movie begins in Africa, northern Africa to be exact, okay? And it says 1600s for the time marker on the movie when it shows the scene, and they're ransacking the Kenites and pirates. They're on pirate ships, they're pirates, 1600, they're ransacking Ethiopia, okay? I'll do a whole breakdown on that movie, but I just want to add that real quick. They hide the truth everywhere. Gondor in the Lord of the Rings, that's an Ethiopic city, okay? And the Lord of the Rings takes place prior to the 1,000-year reign. It's when the beasts and demons and dragons get locked up at the return of the king, okay, who is Ethiopic. He would have had a fro. He wouldn't look nothing like that dude they put in that movie. Notice how in Lord of the Rings there wasn't one black dude in the whole movie that I remember? I don't think. And that has nothing to do with being racist. It has everything to do with inverting the truth. Okay? And J.R.R. Tolkien probably didn't write that into his book. So, whatever. Anyways, I'm way off here. We're going to talk about chemtrails. I just want to make a full hour-long video, because I can wrap chemtrails up real quick. So, in the video I showed y'all on TV, we're going to kind of go back through that, like a couple parts of it, and I'm going to discuss some things based on what the news is saying. But firstly, I'm just going to go ahead and do my own jam on it, which is the climate change psychological operation. It works as this, okay? The problem, reaction, solution of climate change. They create a problem, so-called problem, okay? It's kind of almost subjective. It's not an objective problem, it's subjective. Not that it's not objectively happening, but that in certain areas of the earth and nations, it has a seemingly positive effect. Like where I'm at, we have really mild winters, and there didn't used to be really mild winters here. So, that's what I mean by it's subjective. It depends on where you're at. You know, it could be good here, it could be bad there. So they create a problem through engineering the weather, and they have, I will quote and cite, or not quote, but I'll cite Matt Landman in his documentary film, Frankenskies. So for those who have any doubts that they have been doing this research and actively spraying the skies to control the weather, check out his film, Frankenskies. It might be removed from YouTube. It was up for a while, but I think they removed it. Somebody else might have posted it, but it won't last long. So you might have to look for it elsewhere. Rockfin or BitChute or something. Matt Landman. I don't know if it's Landman or Landmin. So it's spelled just like it sounds. Frankenskies. So from, I think, the 40s or 50s, maybe even the 30s, but I think it's the 40s onward, they have been doing cloud seeding, weather manipulation, all in all different ways. Okay, and so that's to initiate the problem. In my perspective, that's in all my research for 20 plus years into the truth, and chemtrails being some of the first topics I grazed from, right, and chewed the cud on. Based on what I see, they create the problem through weather manipulation and geoengineering. As in, if they had never messed with weather manipulation in the first place, some of these places and their weather might not have changed so much. That's my antithesis, or not antithesis, my I guess maybe it is an antithesis to their thesis, right? So we'll go with that. But I was going to say my hypothesis, right? So they create this problem, and they have done this for hardcore for 30 years. I remember when I was a kid and there was a time that they didn't spray the sky. So before, 82, it was probably more sparse, and it wasn't done everywhere all the time like it has been done the last 30 years. Or 22 to 25 or 6 years, right, at least. I'm almost 40, and I remember seeing my first chemtrail as far as being cognitively aware of what I was seeing when I was like 14 years old. And I'm going to be 40 really, really soon. So that's a long time. They've been spraying the sky regularly on all the time. And the further I got into my teenage years and adulthood, the more consistently and the more heavily they sprayed. And so they changed and I remember the weather being different in several different states that I've lived in. And the weather has changed. So it's not that climate change is fake. It's that, one, they have been manipulating the weather with geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, also known as chemtrails, and HARP, like electromagnetic. This is not a proper terminology, but I just can't remember exactly how to say it, but it's like electromagnetic injection, as in they zap the sky with certain waves, whatever kind they use. I'm not familiar. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did that research. And they spray the sky. So they spray something in the sky that when they inject with electromagnetic or some kind of waveform, it does something to it. And I also believe that they have to spray certain sprays in front of the sun, so they are activated by the sunlight or something like that. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's valid. I have it in layman's terms, but that is what happens to be the truth. So and then the other thing I was going to say is, so you have that kind of climate change that's induced by man, and not because we use air conditioning and drive cars, but because they're purposefully, with high technology, manipulating the weather. Okay, and then let's say they weren't doing that. Then there's the natural climate change that happens naturally occurring, and so I believe that's happening too, but combined with their bullshit that they're spraying and zapping, it really changes it a lot. Like it might be part of prophecy that all the earth turns tropical, from prophetic words of von Benjamin. And I think that is based off of scripture too. I just can't remember the scripture. But that I believe for the 400-year restoration that it will be a warmer earth. And the whole point of that would be to create fruit, to give the earth its one last bit of strength in abundance and production. Because the earth is losing its strength, like they say, but it's not in the way that they context it. It is at its end. Okay, we get the 400 years back, and then we get moved to the new creation. Okay, and this creation passes away, and the earth knows its time is coming, because it's been for a long time, right? It's not people are fucking up the earth, so we got to get rid of people. See what I'm saying? That's their narrative. Their narrative is the weather's changing because we exist. And it's all our fault. And it's just people. Too many people. Well, it's funny that you say that because we have less people now than we've ever had. When they always say we've had more people now than we've ever had. But the population is going down quickly. Especially when you're running all kinds of eugenics operations to wipe out entire populations of people. War is a form of eugenics, right? Drugs is a form of eugenics, as in hard illicit drug use. You think that fentanyl just got pumped out on the street everywhere just for no reason, just because somebody wanted to make $1? They didn't make enough off of heroin, which is natural, semi-natural. Heroin is opium poppy, that they take the morphine out of the opium poppy, and then they add acetic anhydride to the morphine molecule that's been isolated, and that makes diacetylmorphine. That's what heroin is. So it's a semi-synthetic. You think the fentanyl they just dumped on heroin is good enough? Fentanyl is killing your customer. Why would they want to kill their customers? It's because the whole thing is a eugenics operation. They made it easy to get fentanyl, okay, instead of real heroin. And heroin can kill you, okay? You can't grow an opium poppy plant, but you can buy fentanyl everywhere. See what I'm saying? They took away the prescriptions to pain pills. See, it's all connected in one big picture here. So you got the weather, this weather thing happening. You got the whole country strung out on dope. You got poison foods. You got brainwashing TV. You got, the actual chemtrails can't be fucking good for people. Then you got the nanotechnology that very well could be in the chemtrails, which I'm pretty sure has been proven independently with microscopic video cameras. And, yeah. They are prepping all of us for something huge, while wiping out as many of us nonchalantly as they can. War, I forgot to mention war. So, problem, bad weather. Reaction, there's too many people. We got to get rid of people. We got to control people more. We got to tell them what they can and can't eat. We got to blame it on cattle farming because cattle produce some of the most nutritious foods on earth, whether it's milk, butter, or meat. We can't have their brains working because they're eating cattle. They can't be living like Abraham. They can't be living off the good of the land. You see what I'm saying? Blaming climate change on cattle, on people. So get rid of the people, get rid of their cows. When a nation goes to war in the old time, what was one of the first things they would do to demoralize the people and discourage them? Take away their crops and their animals. Okay? They go after your farms. And they're going after our farms. But it's not like China's coming over here to do it. They would like us to believe it's something like that. But the fact is, this is a globally organized endeavor. And so the farming is intimately tied with this climate change narrative, as they're going to blame farming as well as agricultural machinery and generally cars, so our right to travel freely. So many other things are tied to it to take away our rights. It's the people's fault. We can't let them do this no more so that the earth can heal. Don't get me wrong, plastic water bottles and all that shit, that ain't no good. We don't need to be using that shit. We should be way past that by now. We should have stuck with the old world, used glass bottles. Okay, so, don't get me wrong here. I'm for taking care of the earth. I'm for being a good steward of the earth. But like I've said a million times on this channel, they are creating a dialectic of extremes. The extreme being, you're hurting the earth, let's take your rights away, to sum it up easily, so we don't have to go through every detail. You're hurting the earth, so let's take your rights away. But the elites will still have all those same rights. They'll get to fly in their jets, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they ain't going to be poor like us. You need to own nothing because you're hurting the earth. We got to change real quick because the earth is going to die, and we're all going to die because the earth is going to die, and there's too many of you. And I'm thinking, if there's too many of us, then why are you worried about us all dying? If we're really that bad, and the most important thing is the actual survival of the creation itself, rather than doing what's right over wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter if the creation survives, if we're all fucking miserable and slaves and brainwashed and shit, but that's where the other part of their society comes in. They'll have you so drugged, so brainwashed, that you'll think you're happy. That's what you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You'll own nothing and you'll like it. Why take everything from everybody when you can just brainwash them into thinking they should give it up? You're hurting the earth. You're cow farts. You're cow farts. You think Jah, when he made the earth, was like, oh shit, I gave men and women the impression that they could raise cattle and that they could have flocks. It's going to mess up the creation I made because there's going to be so many cow and sheep and chicken farts. It's going to ruin everything. It's going to ruin everything. So, what was I going to say? That text messed me up. Yeah, so we got that problem, reaction, solution. I'm sorry if I lost my point. Somebody texted me. Took my thought off the train. Fell off the train. So, big whammy, I guess, with this chemtrail shit. They have played it pretty well. And now the argument is right out in front of everybody. Except for they're not admitting they've been doing it for 30 plus years, right? They're saying, we could do this to cool their... Oh, that's right. They're going to warm... The earth is going to warm up naturally, according to prophecy from von Benjamin. It's possible. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding what Von was saying and what I'm thinking about, but if I am, I'm sorry, because I don't have all the details on it. But I know Von has a lyric too that also says all the earth is tropical. And so they're trying to cool the earth. It's going to be too hot, they say. Isn't that something? They're going to cool the earth by spraying sulfuric acid on top of us. That sounds like a fucking... It's like a dumb kid coming up to you and be like, taste this chocolate pudding I made. And they're giggling about it. Like, hey, we're gonna just eat it, just try it. And then you're like, what? Why are you giggling? What's in it? And they're like, it's made out of mud. Just like a little kid would do. What they're doing with the spray. And they're like, oh, the earth needs to be cooled. Let's spray it with sulfuric acid. It's alright. It's like a joke. You're going to spray us with sulfuric acid. How about all the things you already been spraying? Let's do some research on that. NASA and military and government. You can't sit here and tell motherfuckers you just don't know if you can spray because we haven't done enough research on it yet. We don't know if the people are going to be okay with it. That's what they're saying in this news article. Motherfuckers have been spraying for 40 plus, 30 plus, 40 plus years. That's the psyop these motherfuckers play on people. They are evil. The people who spray this shit need to be locked the fuck up. And the people perpetrating this media lie about it and this psyop about it, where they're like, I don't know if we haven't done enough research on it yet. It's like, motherfuckers, y'all have done the research. You have sprayed us incessantly for a long time. Fucking stop spraying us. Don't think about spraying us more. And then they're talking about spraying us with sulfuric acid. Did you all realize that if you actually got sulfuric acid on your skin, it would just eat away at you? Tell me how sulfuric acid being sprayed in the sky cools the earth, first of all. And second of all, how does it stay in the sky? And third of all, the particles that fall down, you're telling me that it's not going to hurt animals, people, plants? I'm pretty sure that plants would face the worst damage of that. Because humans would be inside, but they'd still have to breathe that unless their HEPA filters got it out. Or the filtration system in general got it out. And some people don't have that shit. Some people don't have HEPA filters and all that stuff going on in their house. Or what are they called? Not HEPA. HVAC stuff. So, plants will be outside. And I know for a fact if I sprayed a ganja plant with even a super diluted mix of sulfuric acid, it could kill it. It could kill any plant. Unless there's a plant out there that just strictly feeds on sulfur. And sulfur is good to have in the soil. It's an essential nutrient. But to spray it in the sky. And he didn't say anything about dilution, Dr. David Keefton. And why sulfuric acid of all things? You'd be better off spraying gypsum powder. I mean, I don't know if that's possible. I'm just saying, like, first of all, we all live on this earth. And if the earth changes, the earth changes. It ain't up to a bunch of filthy rich motherfuckers like Bill Gates to block out the sun and cool the earth. Mr. Burns. See what I'm saying? Like, that shit don't fly with me. Period. So, let's get into what I was going to show to you guys in this video that you might not be able to hear. I'm just going to point it out, repeat what they say.
To drastic measures. Sunlight that comes in and infrared heat and radiates outward. That balance creates the climate. They might deliberately do that to cool the planet and to reduce, say, extreme storms.
Keith and other researchers believe this can be done by making clouds or oceans more reflective of the sun's rays. But the method that gets the most attention is called stratospheric aerosol injection.
That's a part of the atmosphere maybe twice the size of a...
Oh, just by the way, all these misnomeric sort of connotations with these words, like chemtrails. So we called it chemtrails for a long time. That's what it was called. They said they didn't exist, there's no such thing, and it wasn't happening, and that's what we were seeing was contrails, which You'll see in the video that YouTube, real friendly style, put in the contrail article from Wikipedia. And the fact of the matter is contrails dissipate quickly and are essentially a form of vapor. These chemtrails didn't do that. They hung around the sky for hours and hours and hours, and then when the wind would blow, they'd spread out like a spider web, like this ghosty film on top of the whole sky. So you can't keep gaslighting the people. You're dumber than hell to think we're just going to keep being gaslit and believe that bullshit. Y'all have been spraying the fucking sky for 40 plus years, 30 plus, 40 plus years. Bare minimum. Citation, Matt Landman, Frankenskies. Documentary that proves it, okay? It's been a military technology this entire time. And y'all just changed the names of what it's called. From chemtrail to stratospheric aerosol injection. And now you admit you do it and that you want to do it more. And that you want to research it more so you can do it more. When you've been doing it more than enough for the last 30 plus years. Okay? 30 or 40 years. That shit don't work with us. You can't trick us anymore. Okay? You never tricked me from the get-go. I believe what my eyes see, and you're not going to tell me that what I saw wasn't what I saw, because it is. It's called objective, factual reality. That's what happened. It is happening, and it still happens to this day. Past, present, future. Y'all are liars.
Aircraft flies where particles last for a couple of years. You could put those particles there where they were just scattered a little bit, maybe 1% of sunlight back to space. That's the thing we study by far the most, the thing that we're most confident of the crude way. Some really big volcanoes are able to put a lot of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere, where it then forms really fine particles that will reflect away some sunlight and cool the planet. And in some cases, this can be quite dramatic and cool the planet a lot. This happens maybe a couple times a century in a way that we could measure.
Well, if it happens naturally and a volcano really actually truly does that, which I'm not convinced of that. I'm convinced that it does something, but I'm not convinced that it's totally 100% sulfuric acid or whatever. Plus, there's negative effects from that too. So if the Earth already does it in and of itself from time to time, that's probably good enough. Okay? It's not on us to control the entire creation in this way. We are stewards of the creation and we reign creation. We are the head of creation in a sense. Not the Godhead, but we are put over the creation. So we do have the right to do a lot of things with creation. But when it gets into genetically modification, when it gets into this kind of shit here, controlling the weather, cooling the earth, and they're not even talking about the whole HARP and cloud seeding thing. They're just talking about cooling the earth. They act like this shit ain't been real this whole time. That pisses me off.
Could be just the beginning, according to the experts, but everyone who witnessed the eruption of Mount Pinatubo say they've seen enough.
In 1991, this volcanic eruption in the Philippines sent enough particles into the atmosphere to actually cool the Earth's temperature by about half a degree Celsius, which is a big deal when considering the globe's climate goals. The idea of doing this at a global scale, distributing aerosols by plane, will cost billions of dollars. But experts, including David Hughes, say it could end up saving much more money. More importantly, us humans.
This technology could
Bullshit.
be used to save a lot of lives.
So with the onslaught of lava,
How exactly does spraying us with sulfuric acid to quote unquote cool the earth and the volcano sprays it one way, how are you going to mimic exactly how the volcano sprays it? The way it sounds, you're just putting sulfuric acid in a fucking sprayer, going up there and spray it. The volcano doesn't do that exactly. It's not the same. And I'm just trying to go off of what their argument is here, but how does cooling the earth save mankind? Wouldn't reducing winter save mankind more? Because, you know, if it's too hot, you can die from it for sure. Especially if you don't have access to water or whatever. But there are some nations where it has always been very hot in the summer. And those people for the most part, seem to do just fine. I'm sure that people die from heat exhaustion and heat stroke from time to time. I don't doubt that. But it's like nerfing the world for one little thing. Like, it's too big of a risk for not much gain. Basically, you plan on stopping the overall warmth of the earth, which will hinder summer from being what summer is. I think we better let God control that. I think we better let God, let the creation do what it does and when it's supposed to do it. Okay? Then there's the other part where these people manipulate the volcanoes to erupt, and they could if they wanted to. So, I just think that this level of scientific tweaking of anything is apparently immoral, unlawful. Nobody voted on it. Nobody was given consent or the benefit of the doubt by it being asked if we should do this. The common man and woman, which is the majority of the world, did not get permission or did not give permission to do this. Period. So for it to continue to be a discussion when you all have been blown out the water and exposed for lying about this, it should be the end of it. Y'all lied about it for 30, 40 years. Now you're admitting you're going to do it and that it's a real technology whilst pretending like it's completely brand new. I mean, that's criminal. That is criminal. Y'all belong in the joint. Okay? And everybody who called us crazy for pointing out what they were spraying in the sky, how do you like me now? Okay? People who want to bury their head in sand and think it's completely unrealistic for there to be a conspiracy of men who serve the devil, essentially. Let's remove that from it, though, just to make it real objective for you. A conspiracy of men to do all these things. Is that really so hard to believe? That they compartmentalize the people who are not supposed to know what they're not supposed to know so that it doesn't look so bad? So that there can be plausible deniability on so many different levels and so many different people can plead plausible deniability. Right? Is it really that hard to believe that there is this grand conspiracy? I don't think so. I think when you really look at it objectively, it's not that hard to comprehend. And the biggest mistake you can make is believing their mind control tactics, which has led people to believe that anybody who thinks about this circumstance, not just the chemtrails, but the whole conspiracy, is crazy, paranoid, schizophrenic, nutball, and they should wear a tinfoil hat. That is the worst thing you can believe, because, I mean, at this point in the game, y'all should be able to see clearly that the world has changed, and that they have changed it, and they have been changing it for their own interest, not for ours. And I think it's time to get mature about it, because these people who want to put their head in the sand and pretend like this isn't actually real, that these individuals running the show are doing this and have compartmentalized different parts of their agenda and people who operate in it so that there can be plausible deniability. I mean, if you deny that, you're complicit and you're blind. If you have a sound mind, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, it's time to snap out of it and stop being afraid of being called crazy and conspiracy theorists. Did you know, ignoramus, that the term conspiracy theorist was coined by the CIA as a disinformation counterintelligence operation campaign to make anybody who talked about the agenda, the global agenda, right, sound crazy. There's a huge difference between an actual conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy is a group of men conspiring to do something. That's not that hard to believe. Conspiracy theory is a theory about what they do and how they do it. There are some things that are theories still, but there are hundreds of things that are conspiracy fact. They have already been proven. This has already been documented officially. There are multiple witnesses, there are multiple testimonies, there is objective, factual citations and documentation that the government has done these and those things. And these and those super filthy rich elite individuals have done these and those things. How do you think human trafficking and pedophilia has gotten so extreme and so big and allowed to get to the point where it's got? Are you kidding me? Wake up. It's time to put your foot down. It's time to snap out of your hazy Babylon TV-induced fog and say enough is enough. We're not going to live in this wicked, nasty world y'all have built and pulled the wool over our eyes.
Fires and heat waves? Why hasn't the world already embraced solar geoengineering?
Why hasn't the world already embraced solar geoengineering? Maybe it's because we all seen y'all spray us for 40 years and we were like, that shit ain't good, and bad things were happening because of it, and they basically guinea pigged the entire United States, especially when it comes to chemtrails, aka stratospheric aerosol injection, aka geoengineering, okay, aka solar geoengineering. They guinea pigged us. That's why. We're not embracing it. So shut up about it and stop fucking doing it.
There's one big issue. The technology is still untested at a large scale. And even as advocates encourage much more research.
Bam, that's the main thing. She said there's one problem or whatever. The technology has not been tested at large scale. Yes, it fucking has. It's been documented hundreds of times. There are videos all over the earth of people filming these chemtrails, aka stratospheric aerosol injection, aka aerosols, okay? They have filmed it falling from the fucking sky, literally, okay? I have seen it fall from the sky. I have seen webs on plants from this shit that are not natural, okay? There is nanotechnology most likely in these sprays. So, affidavit notice to Scripps News, quit playing your bullshit. Seriously, like this little unofficial, under the table affidavit notice to Scripps. Shut the fuck up with your bullshit. Start telling the fucking truth. You're supposed to be the news. Tell the fucking truth. Pisses me off.
Before we start pumping some off.
We ain't been studied. We ain't studied it enough. Motherfucker, yes you did. You studied it on us. You guinea pigged us all. And I bet you they do it in Jamaica. I bet you they do it in Europe. I know they do it everywhere. Okay? It's been a global experiment for 40 years. Okay? So shut up with your bullshit. And YouTube and Wikipedia and all these fact checkers and shit, shut the fuck up. Quit gaslighting people. And start standing up on the right side, which is the truth. The objective, factual reality. A contrail dissipates. You can visually see the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail. It is night and fucking day, okay? You do not have our consent to spray. You will not get our consent to spray, okay? Period. I will never consent to it. So what you're doing is unlawful and wicked. There is no legitimate scientific basis to spray us, okay? And it's so funny because the history of them spraying goes way back as far as they would spray other things that have nothing to do with controlling the weather on a city or a population to infect them or do whatever. This is classic witchcraft, okay? And that's all I got time for. In the name of Yahshua Messiah, y'all be blessed. Like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to push my channel.